Can I get a... Oh, yeah?
You literally time it perfectly every time to do that. Hello everyone, welcome to the Context Needed podcast. My name's Kyle, joined with the Who We Are, Ryan, Trashman,
roving reporter,
who is, as you can see, situated in a different situation.
Yes, I am. I have had to make an emergency relocation for the time being, and that is all you shall know. Secret knowledge.
I mean, it's my secret button, but it's the button.
No, it is a legitimate read. Like,
there's legit reasons. It's understandable. It's like Ollie's not able to make it today. He's not doing very well. He's not feeling very well, so he needs to get some rest. So it's just the two of us again. I was going to
ex-monkey.
So I was going to go with the entire podcast of not bringing attention to the headphones and just make it so it never got brought up. But I kind of have to.
This is why I've got to work with what I've got.
So as you may notice as well, Ryan's microphone sounds a bit echoey. That's again just working with what we've got at the minute. Things have changed, so we're going to have to just go with what we have. So, I actually had something I wanted to open with, apart from my annoyance at trying to find a PlayStation 5, which has literally been my entire, I'd say 2 weeks now, trying to find one.
Yeah, 2 weeks you've been trying to find one now, and then
your face is covered by your name. You might not drop the camera slightly.
Let me sit up. Let me get it closer for you.
There we go. That's better.
That's better. Yeah, I think you got it. There was 10 minutes in it. I watched you type a message 10 minutes after that.
I think it was literally 8 to 10 minutes. Yeah, and it was just completely missed it by 8 to 10 minutes because I was on the late shift, so I didn't wake up. And I think it was I think I even said if I didn't snooze my alarm, which is the first,
you'd have got it.
I would have got up and got it most likely, and it just kind of he's got his now, and I'm still here waiting, looking. It's annoying because obviously I can only buy it from certain outlets because of the gift cards I get from work.
I'm just checking the chat, and Tom's just guess what I ordered today?
Now we don't usually do guest interaction for the podcast, but Thomas, if you've got a PlayStation 5.
We have to ban him. I'm sorry, Tom. We're gonna have to ban you. This is when he sends us a link, and it's just like a washing machine. He's like, "Yeah, mine's packed up."
No, it's those ones I saw online where it's a PlayStation 2 sellotape to a PlayStation 3. I've seen a few of those.
So he's just used a nail gun to put them together.
Oh, he's definitely got a PlayStation 5 because he's just said I'm going to hate him. I might have to time him out.
Yeah, I think he needs a timeout. Can you drain his what's the currency? Is it pennies you've
pennies,
got? Can we drain
pennies
his,
on my
pockets?
channel, yeah.
Yeah, we need to drain his pockets,
I've got a feeling he's saving them because I've got a feeling he's saving them because I have recently added more rewards on the channel, things that people have been asking for. So people were asking for using channel points to pay for VIP status and using channel points to pay for mod for a day kind of thing. So I was like, you know what, screw it, I'll do it. So now it's you can pay to have VIP status and you can pay, I think it's 10k to be a mod for a day. But the reasoning I've put it so high is because I don't want someone random coming in, watching the stream for a day or two, getting mod for a day and abusing the power. And it even says in when you gain the reward, it's you get it for the rest of that specific stream. So that day, say if I'm streaming for 3 hours and you should get it in the first 10 minutes, you've got it for that stream. But if you abuse your power, you can be damn straight you'll get timed out from the chat and you'll get your mod status removed, kind of thing.
Who else is mod on there? 'Cause I know I'm mod, but I'm never on.
You're mod mainly because you would jump in every now and then and help out. I think Becky's mod because she's always in the chat, kind of thing. He didn't order a PS5, he ordered 2. He's a scalper. He's that kind of guy. Well, moving on from the PlayStation 5s and the channel points and all that kind of stuff, I did actually... I remembered last night some funny stories from when I've been to hospitals. So I've had to go a few times in, I'd say, the past handful of years. All funnily enough,
I'm already thinking about you calling us the other day.
well, it's all for the earliest one, which is probably the funniest one now I look back at it, story-wise, for going to hospital, was I got I think it was like an ear infection. Really, really bad. And it was literally the day before Christmas Eve. And I was taking my painkillers. It was like, I don't want to go to the hospital. I really don't want to go to hospital. It was like pain in the arse to get there where I lived, because I was in the city centre of Derby. I didn't drive. I could not be asked to walk to the hospital. So it was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep taking these painkillers and try and go to sleep. Gets to like 8 o'clock at night. Take the last load of painkillers. 9 o'clock at night, like, screw it, I'll try and get to sleep. I got an early shift tomorrow. Nah, no sleep's happening. I'm just like,
ear infections are
all this kind of thing, like in pain, and then the painkillers completely wear off by 11 o'clock, and it's by that point I'm pretty much just writhing in pain, and I'm trying to like just sleep, and I think after 2 hours of doing that, I was like, fuck this. I've got no painkillers. I've got no kind of relief. I've got some clothes on. I went down the road and jumped in a taxi and went to the hospital. Bear in mind, it's 1 a.m. Christmas Eve by this point.
Derby.
In Derby.
Ooh, I can already imagine it.
So I get to the hospital. And I tell them why I'm here. It's like, it'll just be nurses that you'll need looking at you, and they can give you some painkillers and you should be on your way. That's fine. I literally just need some painkillers, pretty much, but nowhere's open to get them. Yeah. So I sit down. Bear in mind, I sat at the back with my hood up, and I'm just like, kind of like, I'm full on white knuckle because I'm in that much pain, and I'm just sat there like, just white knuckle, just trying to like get through it. And it was quiet in the hospital. Like, it wasn't like filled with people from drinking a row. It was really quiet. But there was this one, I'm gonna call him fake gangster. He was a
white boy.
No, he wasn't a white boy. He was of he looked of like Asian Indian style descent.
Oh yeah, they're just as bad.
But he was full on like fake gangster style.
Trousers around his ankles.
Yeah, and he'd gone like back and forth from the entrance, inside, then outside, then inside. And every time he's like staring me down as he walks. But I'm already like white knuckled. I'm at this point, I don't give a fuck at this point. I'm just in pain. And then like he gets escorted out by the fucking security. Then he goes back in. And then when he like walks past back again, still staring at me, he eventually like says something to me. I can't hear him because I've got a fucking ear infection. I just stare at him and I'm like, not moving, not doing anything. And he like started to walk over to me, started saying more stuff. And I'm like, if he keeps moving towards me, and he kept to move towards, and I literally just said to him, "Don't fucking come near me." He stopped, like gave me this dirty look, started saying stuff again. I can't quite hear what he's saying properly. And he said to me, and I just said, "Don't fucking come near me. Don't take a step near me." And all I remember hearing as he was walking away, because he shouted this, I think he called me some kind of Jew or something, and then walked into the hospital again, even though he'd came that way. And then the security again kicked him out, and this time I think he actually fully left. But I just had no fucking clue as to what happened in that situation. Like, why did he call me a Jew? Why did he keep eyeballing me? Why did he walk over like he was trying to fight me?
It's just like, what are you going to do? It's like, these people are just going to sit there at times and like, they just try to start fights with you. Like, I can't remember, what's that? There was that kid on the tram. Honestly, I was like, I was ready to die. I was ready to take a knife. I carry guns, I carry knives.
I think that's been brought up in so many, because it's such a good one. I think honest to God. I think with that hospital one, I think it was literally after he got kicked out, I think it was maybe 10 more minutes. I then got shown into the nurse's office. She fucking. She was like, oh, so what's the issue? I explained, I think I got an ear infection, I'm in absolute pain. I think I just need to get some like painkillers so I can bugger off and get out your guys' hair. Oh, why don't you go out and buy some then? It's 1:30 in the morning on Christmas Eve. You tell me where I can buy painkillers, I'll fucking go and buy painkillers. And she was like, wait, what is... Oh god, yeah, it is. Sorry, I lost complete track of time. And I was like, that's fair enough, but I'm not in the mood right now.
Yeah, I had an ear infection once, and it was the only thing that's been worse than the ear infection I had was I had an infection on my
pee-pee.
No, definitely not. On the because my wisdom teeth came out really early. Like my dentist was like, "Yo, you're like really like early compared to most people." And I got an infection on it, and I was just there like popping paracetamol and ibuprofen like every 2 hours. And my mum goes like, she sees this little like, I have an ibuprofen then I have a thingy like, and I got it set out so I knew what I was going to be doing tomorrow, like the next day when I got up. She's like, are you seriously doing this? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you need to go to the dentist. And I'm like, no, it's fine. It'll go. So I'm like, whatever. She goes, I'm calling the dentist. She's like, I'm calling this because I'm sat there at work like fucking dying. I'm like, can't talk properly on the phone.
That was me with that dry socket. I've got a feeling that dry socket it's on probably about the same level of pain as infection, but obviously the dry socket does go much easier than an infection. The only worry they had with my dry socket was if it gets infected, it's like, yeah, we really don't want this to infect, because if it does, it's like a dry socket plus an infection. It's like, I'd be done.
Yeah, they were like, the dentist was like, right, here you go across the road to the pharmacy and get the antibiotics. So literally like within 10 minutes I'm back over and I get some antibiotics.
I bet they probably gave you some like amoxicillin or something, just some like kind of penicillin style stuff.
It was amoxicillin. Yeah.
Amoxicillin's the most common one I've noticed.
Mm-hmm. So that just basically just did the job, got rid of it. But he goes, if it happens again, you're gonna have to have the tooth out. And I'm like, I hate dentists.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks having teeth removed, but I mean, I've had 4 removed now, so it's like, the worst part is the needle for me with dentists. I used to have a massive fear of needles as a kid, and I've got a feeling even now, even though I can look at the needle, I can watch the needle injecting people and all that kind of stuff.
You can't do it yourself.
No, it's like, I can't watch it injecting myself. But it's not that gets me. Like, I know it has to happen, and I understand that whatever the pain's the pain kind of thing. The thing that it always has like a weird effect on me a lot of the time, where after an injection, luckily not in my mouth so much anymore, but after like an injection for say like local anesthetic, which funnily enough doesn't work on me anyway, I get like heat flushes, like I'm going to throw up. And I think that's because that fear is still somewhere in my subconscious, and I'm just kind of like moving it away to the side kind of thing. So I just don't think I'll ever escape that.
Have I ever told you about the time I had to go and have some fillings? And like they tried it with just the standard like numbing that they do.
Yeah.
I'm there like, I can still feel pain here. This is not numbed like in any way. I said like, look, you're going to have to do something else. And there was I was a young kid. I was still in secondary school. So they sent us to the place in Long Eaton, you know, the one behind near Asda in the police station.
Yeah.
Like the health centre. Yeah, they sent us there. So I went there and they gave me laughing gas. Mate, fuck me. That just... It sent me to a different dimension. It was awful. I hated it.
I've not had laughing gas before, but I've had oxygen. The air and oxygen thing, because I had that, funny enough, on one of the other stories I was going to say about going to hospital kind of thing. Because with the dentist kind of scenario, I had the same thing where the local anaesthetic, it will work in like the frontal areas of the mouth. Like if there was doing like these bits here for like fillings and stuff, it's fine. But as soon as they get further back,
when it gets to the back,
it doesn't. The local anaesthetic.
And that's where you get most of your fillings. Yeah, so that was where I was having them.
Well,
I've not had fillings before because I got like the best teeth out of my family.
Yeah,
and my sister had multiple fillings, and she was younger than me because she didn't clean her teeth, and she still doesn't properly to this day. But she's getting better. Yeah, I like the gas. Like imagine you sat there, like, you know, when something kind of like you see the images and they're on about like weight and galaxy and like black holes, and it's like everything goes in on itself like that. That's how it like felt. Like everything I was looking at just kind of like started seeping into my head.
Yeah,
and I was like, I lost my shit. I was like, nah, this ain't a good feeling.
You had a bad trip, man. You had a bad trip.
I did. I was like, if this is what laughing gas does to me, imagine me on fucking anything else. I'd be like in a different
I've got a feeling laughing gas is probably much heavier than having like anything like weed or things like.
Yeah, well, no, I've had weed before. Weed's like.
See, I did weed back in like university and stuff, and just and like end of. Well, no, because it wasn't even like I was a proper stoner. It was more just like I did it because I wanted to try it, because I had friends that were doing it and they raved about it, and everyone was talking about it. It was like, you know what? This isn't about a peer pressure thing. Let me see what this big thing is all about. And the first time I ever had it, I wasn't smoking at the time, like at all. So usually you'd mix it with tobacco, and that way then it wouldn't be like so strong. But I literally said, I'm not taking any tobacco at the minute, because the girl I was with at the time hated me smoking. So it was like, okay, well, we made a homemade bong. And it was fucking hilarious, because we went to the Sainsbury's, this little Sainsbury's shop. It's actually down the road from where I train kickboxing and boxing, funnily enough. Went to this little Sainsbury's shop. We picked up like a couple of like bottles of like Coke, but then a can of Coke as well, and then snacks and a packet of pens. And like, suspicious. We put all this stuff on the side, start ringing it up, and the guy just looks at us. It's straight up. He always instantly knows these guys are making a fucking bong. And it was like it was the guy who. There's a friend of mine who lives in America now. He's the one that made it and did the thing, did it all properly, passed it along, nothing happened. Did another few bits, nothing happened. And it was like, right, I'm a bigger guy, I'm taking not massive, like, I don't know what they call it, like breaths or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, I'm a bigger hit, so I'm guessing it's a hit, yeah. I'm so out of touch with it now, kind of thing. So I was like, okay.
Those they're drugs.
So I was only doing like average sized hits for what I could probably take in breath wise. Nothing was happening, and then it was like, okay, well, I'll do a big one. Did a big one, passed it off. Nothing was happening, so I just said to my friend, like, look, it might be delayed for me, so I'll do one more big one, and then I'll wait. Did the big one. By this point, my close friend, who I'm still very close friends with, he took one, passed it off, and then just rolled onto his side and was like, I'm okay now. And just stayed on his side for the rest of the night, kind of thing. And then I did my big one, passed it over to the guy who lives away from us now. And that last one was literally, it was like, you take the last bit, took the breath in, and as I let it hold there for a sec, that's when it was like, you think the slow motion sound from like the Max Payne games, you know, it goes, that's what my body felt like after I took that moment. I took that, passed it on, it did that, it literally felt like that sound affected me, and I just leant back and I was like, okay, I understand why people like this now. But then, whereas other people like roll over and just like have their own moment, me and this other guy, I couldn't stop talking while I was taking the stuff.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't stop. But my friend who made the bong got the giggles. So it's just three guys in this middle of this fucking field. One of them rolled over in the fetal position, just all comfy and happy. Me not shutting the fuck up, and this other guy laughing at everything I'm saying, even though none of it's funny.
My first time was like I like a lot of people did it when they were like at secondary school and at uni, but like younger and stuff. But it wasn't until like 5 years ago, Comic Con. Now, I had a friend who used to live in the Netherlands, so you can expect she comes over, she brings the good kush, properly. And honestly, I was like, this is like, it felt nice. It didn't stink. It was like, it was good. Like, for me, it didn't really affect me. Like, just smoking the joint, I was just like, doesn't really do anything for me. So I was like, whatever. And then we went over to a bunch of the other guys at Comic-Con, and Comic-Con being Comic-Con, there's always a fucking massive presence of weed smoking.
Oh yeah.
Which is like, they just need to legalize it at this point. They're wasting time. I mean, the amount of money you can get from taxing it. Yeah,
this thing we've spoke about it many times before. And it's like, there's nothing inherently wrong with weed. I personally don't do it anymore. I don't have any qualms with people who do it. The only time it bothers me is sometimes the smell of it can be very pungent. So I'd understand why they wouldn't. Well, no, even good stuff can have a very pungent smell. It depends on many factors of the actual variant that you get, from what I remember looking into. But like, I can understand with that you'd want it not be allowed in public areas, like not allowed in like town centres or public parks or things like that. I'd understand not allowing it in those kinds of areas. But that also says the same thing to me as smoking. We shouldn't be allowed to smoke.
Yeah,
like
tobacco is just as bad.
Yeah, like there should be little smokers' huts, in my opinion, in places like Nottingham City Centre, where it's like you smoke in the smokers' hut. That way, then you're not breathing secondhand smoke to other people.
That's what it's like in Japan, isn't it?
This is coming from me, someone who likes to smoke. I don't smoke currently, but I like to have a cigarette. I like the taste of them. If the health benefits, if there were no health degradation from smoking, I would probably be a full-time smoker.
I must admit, like, when I did smoke, I was like, this kind of just feel like, I get the idea of like, and how I understand how people sit there and think, oh, this looks cool. I mean, I do then watch like Cowboy Bebop, and I can sit there and be like, I mean, these people just are smoking a fucking like fag every second.
Yeah,
and it's just like cooler than cool, and you're like, yeah, this is great.
See, for me, it was never even like, there was no peer pressure for me. Everyone seems to think like some of the stuff I've done was down to peer pressure. It was like, no, I decided off my own back that I wanted to do that. I couldn't care less what the others thought, and I wanted to try smoking because loads of other people in my family smoked at the time as well, and they liked it, and I smelt the secondhand smoke from it, and I liked the smell, so I wanted to try it. But that's like, even coming from me, who likes smoking, I completely agree that in busy built-up areas like city centres, it should be treated the same way as it is in Japan, in that there'd be smoke shelters, and you go to the smoke shelter and smoke.
Or smoking zones where you go.
They have loads of little rooms in Japan where it's literally a smoking room, and you can go into the room. Yeah, and it just vents it all out and filters it straight away, kind of thing. And that would be great, because one, it would stop all the fag nubs being on the floor, because there'd be fag bins in those areas, and I hate it so much how many fag nubs are on the floor. Even when I smoke, the worst I'll do when I'm getting rid of a fag nub is if there's literally nothing near me, I'll stub it out and I'll put it down the drain, because at least then it's not on the street. But even that, I know is bad, and I don't like doing it. Yeah. But at least it's not on the street.
You're never going to win, like in these kind of situations where you're trying with like, it's a case of us just kind of giving the idea of this perfect world.
Yeah,
because it's like the big fat ball they had in London in the sewers. It's like
what was it called? It was called like the
fat ball, didn't they? Or it was like, how big was it? You Google it, because otherwise I'm gonna like deafen everybody.
Oh yeah, what was it? It was in the sewers, wasn't it?
It was in the sewers. It was like it was the big congealed fat. The Fatberg, that was it.
Yes, it was called the Fatberg.
How big was it again?
Let's have a look. It was the weight of a bungalow.
Oh, fuck off. Like, man, it's just the absolute idiocy of people. In like,
well, a lot of the stuff from that is people flushing stuff down toilets they shouldn't do. And the biggest culprit is wet wipes and flushable wipes that are not flushable. It's like we have baby wipes in the house because baby wipes are fucking amazing at cleaning up little spills and little things. Baby wipes are a godsend, and every house should have baby wipes.
Baby wipes on the ass are perfect.
Yes.
I was going to say it.
But we shouldn't flush them. And whenever I use them, I don't flush them. I put them in the bin. I used to flush them, but now I put them in the bin. And it sucks because if you do say use them to finish off a wipe after you've been for a dump, your instinct is to throw it down the toilet like everything else, and we really shouldn't because they're not flushable, as much as they like to say they are.
Because you can get the biodegradable ones. What the ideal thing is you have like a biodegraded toilet where it just basically all falls into a certain tank in your property and it biodegrades there, and then you can use it for compost and manure, like if you've got a big garden. Yeah. But
that would work out in the countryside. That would be great for out in the countryside.
There must be a way you could rework it though to work in a more built-up area where, like. But
imagine the work on that, because it's all underground. The work that would be involved in that.
It'd hell of a job,
and it wouldn't be something that could be done nice and quick. Like it would be, you'd basically be turning off everyone's sewage for a long period of time, which would be impossible to do.
It'd be something you do in new builds. You design it and plan it all, and you do a set of new builds, and you go, right, we're going to test this thing, because you could have it all get, like, if you can work out and set up a system which separates it, because you have to separate obviously your fluids from your solids, because otherwise when you mix wee and poo, that's when you get the smell. Yeah, and then. The idea is when you do that, it stops it from biodegrading.
Is it the chemicals and stuff from your urine mixing with the chemicals?
And that's why you'll find with animals, like obviously, like cow shit and horse shit stinks, but it's not nearly as bad as what human shit smells like, because they go to the toilet in different zones. They'll go to one place, they go to and have like a piss, and then they'll shit in another corner.
Yeah.
But I was watching. Way back when I watched It's Not Easy Being Green with Dick Strawbridge in it, and in that they have a house down in Cornwall, and they make it completely nearly completely self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And they build an outdoor composting toilet, and they make it so like there's like a slide, like kind of deal, like it's a hole, and there's like a slide where you piss onto,
and then behind it is where your dump goes.
Just the dropper, yeah.
I think I've seen that design.
Yeah, and then he's making like loads of compost for his garden and stuff, and I think that would be very, very.
You've just reminded me of that self-sufficient house. I remember reading about something like a self-sufficient house, and I remember thinking it really annoyed me, not because of the house, but because of the way the government dealt with it. So this house was completely off the grid. They had no connection to outer water lines, no connection to power lines. Literally everything was self-sufficient in this house. All their water was from a well that they had in their house. Everything was completely self-sufficient. They grew all of their food. I think they had to go to the shops for like certain amenities, kind of thing.
Yeah,
but the government,
you're never going to be 100%, like, unless you're super serious about it and you've got bare time to do it.
Yeah, but they so they tried to say, well, we don't need to pay council tax because we don't use bins.
If you're not using them,
we literally use nothing from the local council, nothing at all. So they shouldn't have to pay council tax, and I agree with that. They shouldn't have to pay council tax.
It's your national insurance, which is what goes into the NHS anyway. So
yeah, and that they should have to pay that, because everyone pays everyone pays the national insurance, because that's for your NHS, that's for your fire brigade, and that also pays for policing as well. I think from what I remember,
as well. Part of policing. I do know a little bit of council tax goes to policing, but not. I don't know how much. Yeah. It depends. I really don't know.
But they literally were trying to explain how, like, we literally use nothing from the local council, so we shouldn't have to pay council tax, because, well, if they're not using any of it, why would they pay? And like I think the council tried to pull the whole thing of, well, you're using land on land that we run, so we have to make sure that you pay council tax in case you need our support for looking after your land. And they're like, we are self-sufficient and we run the land ourselves, we own the land, and if we needed your help, we've made a serious mistake, in which case, fair enough, we'll pay. But we've been doing this for a year and been self-sufficient without you for a year, so why do we need to pay?
I think, like, yeah, maybe having some sort of pay, like where you've got to pay for something, but then just having it like dropped and like lowered. Because I mean, if you're not having the bins, you're not getting the bins collected. Boom. The bin men don't have to drive out to them.
Yeah, and if they live in the middle of nowhere, which what it sounds like with them being self-sufficient, they probably do. That's a massive journey probably taken off of the docket.
That's fuel saved. That's CO2 emissions and carbon footprints completely dropped there in that manner of them driving out there, unless they've got to go to like another house next door to them or something, which is like. But then even then, it's like, well, does it really matter that they're not getting anything from them? Because they're still going to have to make the trip for that other that other house. So it's like, well, that doesn't really matter in the end. I think really the government should give you money. It's like, because you can get solar panels and they'll pay you to have the solar panels because
I really want solar
feed
panels.
back into the
It's kind of frustrating how much I want solar panels, and I don't think because obviously it's my father-in-law that owns a house.
You've got to be you've got to be facing, your roof's got to be
it is
east facing. Or
so this is the back of the house. This wall here is the back of the house. In summer, the back of this house is sun-locked. This is the best house I've ever lived in for sun, because it literally, you can be out there till 10 at night and still have sun at times.
Yeah.
Because of, especially on like the solstice days where it's the longest days, we get sun ridiculously late now. That's why when I moved here, it was like, when it's summer, I want to invite my friends around for barbecues and stuff, because I've never had a garden this good for the sun, and we can stay outside in the sun for much longer than when you do it at other houses where like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, sun's gone in now, or it's gone behind the house, it's getting cold and you go inside.
The sun quite bad. Yeah, we lose the sun quite bad in our garden because the way it's shaped, it's like an L. Yeah. So you've got our house, then you've got our little extension as well, and you've got it coming around here. So you can manoeuvre around the garden, because you can get the best bit in the way my parents designed the garden is we've got like a little like plant area with a little seat made out of pallet wood, which is really nice. That at the end of the day, when the sun's just coming down, it hits that, and it's just lovely to go and sit out there, and have an ice cream or whatever. And barbecues are lovely out there as well. But it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I think we should just be looking to have more solar panels on everybody's houses. Yeah. Like if you are on a house which is viable to have solar panel, you should have them.
Oh yeah.
And it should be a case of you paying for them. It should be a government scheme, which they do, where they just put them on houses. Because if you put solar panels on every single house, think about how much input you're going to have extra.
Well, it's already like much better than having a solar farm, because it's covering entire constituencies.
Yeah,
I really want them, because my electric bill is fucking horrendous at times, because obviously now I'm working from home, especially I have systems
you can get a tax thing for that.
Yeah, I might have to look into doing that.
So honestly, it's not much, but it's
something. But yeah, because it's like, I have systems on in this house that stay on, like they don't turn off. So it's like, obviously the routers, they stay on, because I'll have things running. My NAS drive stays on, because otherwise it fucking screams bloody murder through emails at me. But I keep that on because of backups and things like that. My computer will be on overnight, a couple of days, a week at a time. Like, I know for a fact from today that computer will probably be staying on until either Sunday night or Monday morning, because as soon as this podcast is done, I edit, I get the renders done, I'll then upload the audio one tonight, I'll then have the video render going tonight, and then tomorrow, sometimes I don't get to my PC until later on at night. So it's like, well, I'm playing games on it at the minute. I don't want to upload something while I'm playing games, because it will ruin my connection. So then I'll run the upload overnight on Sunday and turn it off on Monday morning.
Yeah.
So it's like, those systems just stay on for me. So my bill gets horrendous at times. And I understand there's things I can do, and we do. I don't leave lights on. And all my bulbs are LEDs. Like, I straight up replaced all of them at LEDs. The only lights that stay on, like, long term in this house are these lamps that we've got. So I've got, like, I've got like that one there, which is blinding the
Yeah.
camera there. But that's a new one that I attached to my desk for like the light for the show and
Lighting for the show.
and for like my when I'm working here, it helps light up my area in my workspace. But I've got two similar ones like that, like Pixar lamps that I got from my old workplace that I just replaced the bulbs in to be LED bulbs.
LEDs.
One's in the bedroom, one's downstairs in the living room, and they stay on loads because they're literally
There's
like
nothing
pennies
to
to
it.
run.
Yeah, honestly, like I've got an LED in my, I've got like a bedside lamp, and getting the LED for it was the best shout I've ever made.
Yeah.
So I'm fucking sick of changing light bulbs all the time, and it's not like a white light either. It's got the glow of a a normal.
You got the
bulb.
warm orange. Yeah. So I go
Well,
with
in my room. That'll stay on all day, but it's an LED.
Yeah,
And it's
so
like
it's
I
fine.
leave it on because it's England and we have really dreary days.
Yeah.
When you have those really dreary days, I'm just like, I want a little
the
bit
light.
of a golden glow, like a nice light.
See this one in this room, because obviously there's different gradings. You've got the cold and the warm based off of the lights. There's brilliant white, which is the middle on the LEDs, and that's literally pure white. And I hate that one; it's way too white. That
It does
one,
your eyes.
Yeah, that one I think is literally 1 over into the warm scale, so it's predominantly white, but it has a slight tint, ever so slightly, not a lot, but ever so slightly to take it away from brilliant white, and that's why it works good for the lighting in the show. It helps with the lighting here. The downstairs ones, we have them there more like I think 3 or 4 grades into the warm light, so they look like how those lamps originally looked with their old bulbs, but they're LEDs instead. And I think the difference was crazy. I think the worst culprits we had in this house for lights was the kitchen lights, and they got replaced just before we had the kitchen done. And I can't remember the name of the lights, but they were big ass bulbs basically, and they were 140 watt each, and there was 4 of them, and you couldn't split it. It was either they were all on,
No,
they were all
they
off.
were all on, they were all off.
And that kitchen light, if you left it on by accident for like a day, the room heated up because the lights were fucking red hot because of how much wattage they were, and your bill went through the roof because it was literally like, well, there was 4 lights at 140 watts, it's 400, 480, that's 560 watts for one light switch.
Awful. I turn all lights off now. I used to be like when I was on my own, like if my parents would go away and it'd just be me in the house, I'd leave like my kitchen like under worktop lights on, just so there was like a light downstairs, so if I had to go downstairs for any reason, I wasn't fumbling about in the dark. But I don't worry about that too much now because I've just got my torch, and if there is any bugger trying to break in, I'll just blind the bastard.
Yeah. It helps with us both having like 1600, 1700 lumen torches.
So what, I've not actually got it with me, and I'm a little bit like, oh, I kind of wish I got that now.
Ooh. I wouldn't have left the house without mine.
Yeah, I grabbed a lot of stuff.
I genuinely, especially with, like we said, with dodgy people and whatnot, I literally can't be without mine now. It's like if I'm going out, I have to have it. Recently, it ran out of battery, and I was struggling to get it charging. It was just struggling to, like, the charge just wasn't kicking in, and I had to do the dog walk without my torch, and I was like, don't like this, don't like being without it. It felt like I was missing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing I do that does annoy me is like we've got some neighbours behind us, and like, fair enough if you've got like a reactive, like a sensor light that picks up movement, not a problem. 2 of them behind my ass, like directly behind, one of them directly behind me where my room is, and they've got a light on all night. Every night. It's like, you are not going outside. This light turns off, I know it does, because it turns off in the day. I can just turn it off.
I've got it on a timer.
Because you're not going there. It's so irritating because
we've got one of those floodlights.
Even with blackout curtains, it bleeds through like in the gaps. And I'm just I can't get to sleep because it just feels like I've got blooming spotlights going into my room. It's awful.
See, that's where they've angled it wrong. It shouldn't. I'm sure there's a law against having it angled in a way that it can bleed into other people's buildings.
It's not even like that. It's literally, it's not like a spotlight of such. It's literally just an outdoor light.
Yeah, it's a floodlight.
It's just always on.
Yeah, but
it just needs. Honestly, I was so tempted. Whilst I still had a air rifle, I was so tempted just to hang out my window one night and
shoot it,
blow the ball.
Yeah, those. I'm sure there is a law with those lights because they're directional. We've got one literally out here, and it points at our back door, but it has to be directed downwards so it doesn't bleed into the neighbours' windows. Because
you're quite close as well.
You can put a complaint into the council, and they can fine you for it. I'm sure they can, because it's like you said, it can bleed into your room and cause you struggle with sleep and all that kind of nonsense.
This actually reminds me of an email. When I was at the council, when I worked at the council, somebody goes to me, I need you to try and recover an email that's gone into like a spam filter. I'm like, okay, so I'm looking through this thing and I noticed this one email. I'm like, I glanced over it, and I think it was the one they were asking me to get, actually. So I check it. Obviously, I've got to check it and make sure it's safe.
Yeah.
And then,
check it to make sure it's safe, yeah?
Like, I can't remember any of the names of the people on it. So the security-wise, like, it was how it was written.
Yeah.
It was an Australian who'd moved over to the UK. Honest to God, the funniest shit I've ever read. He's on about, like, so his neighbours across the street had complained that he'd gone over to their house, unplugged, taken the bulb out of their spotlight, which was shining in his front room, and put it through the letterbox. But he's talking about, in the response, because obviously the council have contacted him going like, look, you can't do this. And he responds, and he's like, I had to do a somersault into the front garden, and I felt like I was running up the beaches of Normandy. Spotlights on it. So I felt like it was D-Day. It's like to fight off a feral raccoon. It's just all this stuff he says, but he's like, because he took the bulb out. I think he'd already said to them, like, look, change your bulb because it's coming into my house and it's too bright.
It's not even changing the bulb. They just have to change. You literally just have to change the angle because it's literally a floodlight designed to flood in a specific angle. And if you've got it angled up, you are just blaring light in that direction and not where it's meant to be.
Well, with our house on our garage, we've got one that's like only a tiny one, and it's literally just a case of if you go near our cars, the light will turn on.
Yeah, same with that. As soon as you come through the back gate, when you come through the back gate and you walk across, it will turn on the light. And like you said, it's a deterrent because light makes most dumb criminals jump and like go shit kind of thing. But it was like with the light situation, you just reminded me of actually the old neighbour that used to live next door to us, who was full on prick. I mean, there's no other way of putting it, and I don't even care if he finds this podcast. I need him to understand he was a full on prick. And he
there you go, neighbour, you're a prick.
Well, he set up a Ring camera. So you've seen my house. Yeah. Obviously, we've got the driveway. It's a dual driveway. One's for our side, one's for his. And then it's a dual garage, connected garage, with the garage doors. And he put a camera in the middle top of his garage door. Now, if you was going to be doing it, you'd set up the camera so the camera is able to see your driveway, but also the entryway of your house. Seen as they're wide-angle cameras, they're very able to pick up everything you need. And then you'd make it so it was limiting the view for the rest of the street, because that's privacy. That's breach of privacy and is technically illegal. And you'd also do the legal thing and turn the sound off, because you are not legally allowed to record audio from your CCTV if it's going into a public space. You're not allowed. It's illegal. You have to have, I think, a license or signage or something up there, kind of thing. If it's interior, I think if it's interior, you're allowed to have audio recording, from what I remember, but I could be wrong. I'd need to check the laws on that.
Yeah.
No, he didn't have it set up that way. He had it set up just like he was trying to make it be perfectly looking straight down the driveway, which was meaning it wasn't even seeing his door or his gate, it just saw a bit of his garden, but it saw my door and my walkway and my driveway, but also every other fucking entryway down the rest of the street was caught in this camera. The only reason I found out that he could see this is because he came round one day, knocked on the door, and he was saying, I know your partner teaches and whatnot, and as soon as I saw him, I'm thinking, great, what's this prick going to say to me now? But I was being courteous because I tried to be, because he lived there. And he was like, I just wondering, because it was I think it's one of our students' parents or something, just kept on walking up and down our driveway and whatnot. And I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. I would have said something if I did. Usually they just walk off and go for a walk around the sidings. I didn't know they would stick around. He's like, yeah. I was like, I saw it on my CCTV. I was like, well, can you send me that CCTV and I'll show it to Becky, and then she can find out which parent it is and let them know not to do it again for you, just so that way then it's not happening. He was like, yeah, it's fine, it's just because the daughter like ran up to the door and stuff. I was like, well, if it's a young kid, there's only so much you can do, but I'll still give it her and let her know, because then she can let the parent know and we'll try and mitigate this for you. He went, yeah, it's fine. Have you got an email? So I gave him my email. He sent me the video over, and I saw the video, and then I saw what the CCTV footage was actually viewing, and then I saw it was also audio. And it was at that point, it was like, he's kind of fucking dug his own grave at this point now, because he's illegal in so many ways on this. So Becky had to notify all her parents. We didn't know how long this camera's been there. This camera's watching all of her students walk up our driveway to go into the lessons. All of them minors.
I'm getting the word. It's coming to me. Nonsense.
But that was, as soon as we saw that, I literally said, we need to let all the students' parents know. We can't not. It's our obligation to let them know, and so we can let him know to move the camera if needs be, because we don't know what he's doing with the footage.
Privacy, it's major privacy.
And like I said, straight away, as soon as I heard it had audio, I went, well, he's already broken a law there, because you are not allowed audio. The only reason I know this is from work in security, where we wasn't allowed audio. And we showed it obviously because we was friends with some of the other neighbours. We showed it to them. It was like, we're obligated to show you because your land is being shown. And they didn't like him anyway. And they were pissed. They were really pissed, because it was showing their driveway and their entryway better than his entryway and driveway. So it got to the point where it was like, well, we're going to have to get the police involved. Went to the council, went and got like local police, gave them the footage. I think we gave them a letter or something, basically saying like, thank you for letting us know about the person. We've spoken to them. We need to let you know. You need to move your camera and also remove the sound. The sound is illegal, and also you are picking up private parts of people's houses, which is not allowed. If you don't move this, we are going to have to get the police involved. He didn't move it, so we got the police involved. They got the footage. I think they went around and basically had a word with him. I think like the next day the camera got moved, so rather than being like straight down the centre, it went off to the side, turned in, and was looking at his stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if I left the sound on, but it's just like, I just remember seeing that shit and I was like, bruh, you can't do that shit. You can't.
I'd make a point to just say very loudly every time I went past the camera, nonce vibes. That's all I'm getting.
As soon as I knew he was recording audio, I'd literally like get out of the car and like, he's just being a bit of a prick, isn't he? I mean, I'd just really make sure to be saying something about him. It was proper passive aggressive, but he was a prick from day one of us moving there, and it was like, it really, really fucking showed how much of a dickhead he was going to be when we first moved in and we were sorting out Becky's room. Because I don't think I've said it on the podcast before. I know I've told you before, but it was like I was helping Andy, Becky's dad, move a lot of hardboard insulation, which is really, really light stuff, but it's big.
Oh god, I know this one. Yeah,
it's big, so it catches the wind really easily, and we're trying to move it from the van up the driveway and into the back to then sort out the thing. And it was like, you know what, I don't want this to go and like land on Becky's car and scratch the paint and damage the hardboard, because we've only got so much hardboard. Well, I'm not knocking on his door because he never fucking answers anyway, I'm just going to move the car to his side of the driveway just while I move the stuff and then put it back. Which any normal person would be like, they'd come out and go, oh, you moved the car. Oh, I've literally just got it there for a minute to move this. Oh, cool, just pop it back when you can, just 'cause I've got this or this coming. Whatever. And I wouldn't have minded as long as the car went back. And the crux of this is he didn't own a car, no one lived in that house owned a car. The driveway was empty the entire time I was there unless his mum turned up. So,
Nonce.
So we moved.
Just saying.
So I moved the car over and I start to get another bit, and literally within fucking seconds of moving that car over, he comes out. Now bear in mind, this car's been outside the house for the better part of 6, 7, 8 months maybe at this point, so he knows whose car it is. It comes out, what the fuck is that?
I don't know, what are you doing? It's alright.
Yeah, so like, he comes out the house with this fucking shit-eating look on his face, like, I don't know whose car this is on my driveway, and you have no idea how much I want to just turn to him and say, well, your observational skills are fucking terrible then, because it's obvious it's my car, seeing as it's been here for months. But I didn't. I tried to play the good neighbour and said, I've popped it there just for a minute while I move this hardboard. And he just scoffed at me and walked off, and it's like, well, fuck you then. Don't expect any niceties from me anymore.
What? I mean, like, why would you do that to yourself? Because it's like, this is the person you're going to be living next to for, you don't know how long. Yeah, however long you're in that house, or until they move out, you know,
don't
find a better place.
Yeah, don't shit on your doorstep.
I couldn't imagine being like just not courteous. Like, don't get me wrong, I've got some jips and jipes about people on our road because they can't drive or park, but that's like every street ever has that. And I mean, I think it's a case of like, I was just like, why would you be like that? And like, just being friendly with each other. Like, we've had neighbours like on our street who are fucking terrible, like screaming and shouting at like 6, 7 in the morning at their kids and stuff, like yawping down the street, and it's just like, have you not got any consideration at all? You know what I mean? And it's like, you clearly don't care about what people think of you, do you?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
No, it's I'm not gonna go out my way to be friends with my neighbours, kind of thing. Like, if we don't have common interests, or if we're not like of the same kind of like interest in friendship or anything like that, I don't care about being your friend if you're my neighbour. But I'll be courteous to you all the way, because we live next to each other. We share the same living space, for lack of a better term, even though it's a separate building. We share the same close-knit living space, especially here where we live on the end of a street in a cul-de-sac kind of thing. So it's very close. You're very like tight together as well in that area. So, like, everyone's really packed in. Yeah. Well, I think literally there's 6 houses just on this little T where I am currently, and like, I'll be courteous. Like, if someone comes around and they ask me nicely, like, oh, you won't mind just turning the music down? I've got a kid trying to sleep and it's like 10 o'clock at night. I'll turn it down for them. But it's like, we had it with the previous neighbour when we literally first moved in. That side, the dickhead was that side. It was this side, the one that's connected to us. We first moved in, and we're putting up like a medicine cabinet and the mirror over there, kind of thing. And it's like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, if that. Andy comes around, gets a hammer drill out, starts drilling in, starts getting the stuff hooked in. About 5 minutes after his drilling, the next door neighbour comes down round from that side, basically asking us to like, how long are you going to be drilling? I got a son that's got to go to bed for school the next morning, kind of thing. And it's like, we found out it was a bank holiday, so there was no school, and the kid looked about 9, 10 years old. So why is he going to sleep at 7:30 in the bloody in the afternoon? It's like, we literally just moved in. What do you expect us to do? We're not just going to leave the house as is, are we? It's now our house. We're going to make changes, and we even made sure to do it at like 7:30 because we knew
you don't want to be
that's not late. If it got to like,
just got in.
Yeah, if it literally got to like 9 o'clock, we wouldn't have done it, because it's like, it's 9 o'clock, we're legally allowed to do it, because you're legally allowed to do works up until I think 10 o'clock at night. But we wouldn't have out of courtesy.
Consideration. Yeah, unless you're like, if you're painting, yeah, fair enough. Like, fair enough. It's
stuff like that.
Yeah, you just have your music on. There's so many people who are just like so up their own arse about like making points about, oh, I can't believe you've done this. It's like, shut up. Just shut up. Like, keep it to yourself. Nobody has to hear it. It's like,
I think it's not. I don't understand why some people have like the complaints about like the noise and stuff. It's like, at the end of the day, you live in a terraced house. You're gonna hear me walking up and down the stairs all the time. You're gonna hear me talking. It's like, you literally live connected to someone. You can't be complaining about the noise they make all the time. If you're complaining about that, go live in a fucking detached house. Or well, we're in a semi-detached. Sorry, not terrace, but semi.
It's semi-detached. One that gets me is you get those knobs who move in next door to like a pub, and then they complain about the noise of the pub, and it's like, what? You looked at this house, you saw there was a pub, you moved in, and there was a few of them who were moved in near the Travs in where I live, and they complained, so the Travs had to get soundproof in. I'm like, no, why are the Travs having to put soundproofing in? That pub's been there a lot longer than that occupant of that house has been. That occupant of the house can fuck off.
Do you want to know why?
Then the pub turned into a shop, and they were getting deliveries, and then they complained about the deliveries. It's like, you are literally living next to this. Move. You've clearly got enough money because this is a big house. You're clearly like pulling in money. Move. Do it all a favour. Fuck off.
It's the annoying thing where the reason why the council will take the person's side on this is because they don't really care about pubs or clubs or anything like that, because people moving into houses get some more money.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because it happened at Rock City when I worked there on security. Rock City had those issues with the flats next to them, even though Rock City's been there for fucking years. And then forever. It was the same with Butlins. We used to get noise complaints from Butlins, and it's just like, people used to, there was an old community from basically just the other side of the fences of Butlins, and they were the ones that would complain. Butlins went about.
They're the old people. They're the old people though, who would have used Butlins at its prime.
Yeah, well, they used to complain, say, well, we were here before Butlins was. It's like, I'm sorry, unless you was born before like World War, I think it was 1 or 2, I can't remember which one. You definitely weren't here. You definitely weren't here before Butlins. But it's just like, Butlins went about it the wrong way. I'm sure I'm not under NDA, so I don't really care. And if they want to try and pull me up on it, good luck. I'm allowed to speak my own will, so whatever. But Butlins went about it the wrong way. They had to pay obviously all these council fares, all these council fees. They had noise curfews. They had a very, very, very strict noise curfew of 10 o'clock, I think it was. So especially when we was doing the outdoor stage, you literally couldn't even make like a loud hammer noise past 10 o'clock because the noise curfew. If you did, there was a fine, which is fair enough. Like, I'm completely understanding of that, because festivals have to go with those noise curfews at times, and it's understandable. But they didn't push the council to basically explain, we've paid for these rights, you have to uphold those rights, otherwise you're breaching your contract with us. They never pushed the council on that, and they caved to the council. And they also used to do things like, oh, well, this house is complaining too much, why don't we just buy the house off them and use it for living quarters for staff and guests and stuff. It's like, but as soon as you do that to one, you start doing it to all the others, and that's what happened. Loads of those houses around the back of that back of that area were owned by Butlins because they just bought people out. It's like, now all you're going to do is going to have more complaints because people will want you to buy them out, and they'll charge you more to buy them out.
Thingy, it's like Elon Musk buying out all those people in Texas. I think it was in Texas or Florida. It was in Texas, where they've been doing all the SN9 tests.
And they were complaining about the noise or something, were they? And he bought them all out.
The first thing he did is he literally went in there and said, "I'm buying you all out." And there was a few that are staying. And he was like, "Look, I can't promise you your house isn't going to get a bit of rocket land on it. Let's just put it that way." And like, mate, there's people in. At least they have the choice. In Russia, in Kazakhstan, and stuff like that. Kazakhstan's not as bad because there's not as many people there where the old Soviet launch pads were. But there's another one in like Russia up in the mountains. And there's just fucking bits of rocket landing on people all the time. But the thing is, do you know what those people have done?
Base Elon Musk will buy your house so the rocket doesn't land on it.
Do you know what the people who live in those places where the rocket lands on them do? They salvage the rocket and sell it.
Yeah. Because it's it's literally space grade materials. It's expensive stuff.
Yeah, they sell it. Like a lot of them sell it, and then like some of them turn it into stuff. Like they'll build like tools and vehicles and stuff with it, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny to watch, but it's like a completely different mentality compared to what you get over here, where somebody's like, "Oh, a little bit of noise hurt my thing." Well, at least it's not a rocket landing on your head, Gareth. From
there's
22.
Before we look to close up, because obviously we've reached the time for today. Before we look to close up, I did see another one of those kinds of things that popped up. I think Ollie actually commented on it at one point, and it was basically some couple that had moved, or some family that had moved to the countryside, were annoyed that the local farmland, they were wanting to turn it into a clay pigeon range and make like clay pigeon range in the area. And loads of people have started going up in arms like, "Oh, it'd be like having a jet engine fly over your house 20 times a day." And it's like, one, you're in the fucking countryside. That's a normal fucking sound to hear in the countryside. Shotguns, that is literally normal. Two,
we have shotguns all the time there, man.
Yeah. Two, you decided to move to the countryside, and rather than complaining about it, why don't you go try doing it first?
Yeah, you might have a new hobby.
Clay pigeon shooting is so fun, and they're trying to get this place shut down.
The people who complain like that are the boring buggers who don't have hobbies.
Yeah,
it's like,
well, it's usually from everyone's basically saying it's the it's now. I hate the whole, "Oh, you're just a city folk person." I hate that whole like, "You're city folk, I'm from the countryside." I hate that divide that happens in this country at times. But for lack of a better term, it is mainly the city folk that are complaining about this gun range. And I've got a feeling like a lot of the people complaining about it aren't even complaining because of the noise or anything like that. They just see the word gun.
They complain because they can.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
And it's like, you'll know for a fact there'll be people complaining, "Oh, gun. There'll be guns there. That means there's going to be gun crime in the area." It's like, no. I'm probably sure if we ran some like research on this and got the crunch the numbers, get the calculator out and looked at crimes done by firearms in areas of clay pigeon shootings and then compared it to, inner city gun crime, I've got a feeling the numbers would be more skewed towards the inner city rather than, good old Bob who likes to go down the range on a Sunday, shoot a few clay pigeons, leave his gun there because he gets it more secure there on the safe, and then go home and have his Sunday lunch. It's like, I've been clay pigeon shooting. A lot of the people that are clay pigeon shooting are just, they literally look like Bill, Bob, Dick and Harry kind of thing, who just go there because they like shooting the clay pigeons and having a laugh with their friends and then going and having the dinner.
But that's too much for some people. Why are they allowed to have fun, but I can't? Well, it's because you're boring.
No, I really do think like if you want to complain about something in that way, like if it's a hobby or like a racetrack or a shooting range or paintball range or like a go-kart or anything like that, if you want to complain about any of those sites, I really believe you should go try it first. Like if I lived in the countryside and they were opening something where I was like, I don't really like the idea of that opening up near me, let me go try it. Let me go see what it's all about and talk to the people that do it. Get an understanding from their perspective. And then see if I'm still unhappy about it opening up near you. Because a lot of the times, I bet if you'd go and do that, you'd realise one, it may actually be something that you really enjoy and you may want to go do, and having it local to you would be great. I wish there was a clay pigeon shooting range local to me, because I would be there probably every Sunday if I could, because I really enjoyed doing it. It was really fun. But two, you'd understand the people that run the place and the passion they put into running these kinds of places. Probably not so much go-kart places, because I've found a lot of go-kart places can be kind of like, these guys really don't enjoy working here, apart from there's always that one guy that really likes the go-karts.
I am pro go-karter 54 on all the go-kart forums and the leaderboards.
I think it's the same with airsoft as well. Like paintballing, I have no defense for paintballing. Sorry, I really don't enjoy paintballing.
No, paintball shit.
And
sorry guys.
I really could not care less if paintballing got shut down personally, because every single time I've been twice. It honestly, to me, it just seems like a fucking scam. Oh yeah, you can pay £10 to come and do like a load of games. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Why can't I bring my own paintballs, as long as they're like the ones you buy and they're in a sealed box, so you know I've not messed with them? You can at some
places, but most of them are just
all the ones I've been to, and the most common ones, you're not allowed to bring your own paintballs, and they charge you literally 100% markup for the paintballs. I think
was ridiculous.
I think when I last went, the only way I could play every game that we had was to literally pay £150 in paintballs to play. Otherwise,
I can do it and get like 3,000 for 12 quid.
Yeah, and you're allowed to take your own, aren't you?
Yeah, as long as they're like quality.
Yeah, as long as they'll check to make sure they're like not metal ball bearings or things like that kind of thing.
You don't have problems with metal ball bearings because the guns are literally designed not to shoot metal things unless you modify it most of the time.
Is it the weight of them? I'm guessing
they're literally only fire plastic.
Yeah,
it's the problem when they have the really cheap Chinese light ones, which then shatter, and it's just crap plastic and stuff like that.
And the shattering can cause skin damage and stuff.
That's when you get the problems. Yeah, that's when you get the problems.
Yeah, but like places like that, I don't see why people should complain if they actually just went and tried it. Like, I would really enjoy living near like a clay pigeon shooting place or like a go-karting place. Like, fair enough. Like, I understand the noise. But there's things you can do to mitigate noise. There's loads of stuff you can do to mitigate noise. And at the end of the day, if you're such a light sleeper that you can't sleep for a little bit of noise, then you need to learn to do that. At the end of the day, it's like I have bad tinnitus. I struggle to sleep without noise. So
don't move to Castle Donington then.
Yeah. Well, I'd probably sleep better at Castle Donington than I would here.
I think that is the one place in England where it's like, if you don't like noise, don't move there, because you've got the fucking download, airport, and then you've got the racetrack.
Yeah. The thing
I can hear those from where I live. So if you live in Castle Donington,
if the wind is in the right direction, I hear download from my house.
I can see the lights of download from the end of my street visibly.
See, that's impressive, because I'm sure they have like a light pollution limit they've got to follow, but I'm guessing they just ignore it.
It's been a while since I've seen it has been a while since I've seen the lights of download.
It's all been cancelled, hasn't it?
Yeah, but when I was a kid, you could really see it. Yeah. But now they've built a few more like big industrial warehouses, which are fucking disgusting and look awful.
Yeah.
But we can't do out about it. But yeah, I mean,
it's industry and it's jobs.
Yeah, jobs.
That's important. But I think we should close up for the day.
Yeah, close it up. Yeah.
Ryan needs to go.
I need a piss. That's what I need.
Don't not while you're doing that. That might be weird.
I know. Jesus Christ.
It's going everywhere.
So, if you would like to contact us at the podcast, please send us an email at Kyle.
You don't remember it?
I need the Twitter account.
If you want to send us memes, shitpost, complaints, which we'll ignore, or any like non-formal kind of bullshit, it's at @contextneeded1 on Twitter. You can also contact me or Ryan directly on Twitter. Mine is IKTOasis. Ryan?
Corrupt photo, I think I am. I can't remember. You'll see me. You'll see me responding to our Twitter. It's pretty dead anyway on there.
Yeah. So yeah, you can get us there. If you want to send more formal correspondence, we will be able to send you the exact rulings of how you send us that correspondence. What you need to do to get those rulings and instructions is email us at the contextneededuk@gmail.co.uk email. We'll send you all the formal information of how to send that. Be aware, typewriter is needed. 20 pack of cigarettes or a cigar is also needed.
I think we should also open up the quill written letters.
It could be typewriter or quill.
Parchment. It's got to be on parchment. They're not paper.
Yeah. I'd love if we could eventually open a PO box and just have people send us stupid shit.
I'd really love if we actually got a full-on quill written parchment thing. I feel obligated to write back
in the same manner.
Dearest sir or madam.
Well, that'll be it for this week. Thank you all for listening, watching, or catching up at later times on the other platforms. We will be back next Saturday, same time, 9 PM GMT. But again, thank you all for listening or watching, and we will see you guys later.
Bye-bye. Can I get a hooyah?